What's up, buddy?
What up, dude?
How's it
How
going?
you living? How you living?
Living well, my friend. Living well.
All right. Good. Good.
Living. What's
I never thought about that. Because people always say, "How you living?" And in the context of today's real talk, I had not, I had not thought about like it's just has a different meaning right there. How you living?
I love.
How you living?
I think it's Dave Ramsey who says it. How you doing? He says his always response is better than I deserve.
Better than I deserve.
Better than I
Yeah,
deserve.
man. Yeah, we this idea of the present and how powerful the present is something that's becoming more and more real every day for me. And we had a guest on recently, wrote an awesome book. I don't know, it's probably a couple months ago. We had Doc G on the podcast, and his career before he got into all the amazing things he's doing now. But he was a hospice doc, right? He walked with people through the end of life. Like that was his job, that was his role. And one of the things he said was fascinating to me in his book, and I don't know if he referenced it in the podcast or not, but he said it in his book, and he wrote about the idea of what his observations were is people died the way they lived, right? Like he's like most people that had, however you characterize a bad death, a poor death, um, they were the same people that lived a life that you could, whether they were angry, anxious, whatever adjective you want to put in there on a life that would not necessarily be considered well lived, and it was dominated by this negativity, negative feelings, negative whatever it was that was predominant. And he said the opposite was true too. Like the people that were generous and happy and joyful, those people experienced quote unquote good deaths. And it was fascinating to me because as we talk about all the things within TKM about today, right? Being present with your kids, being present as a dad in your businesses, being a leader, like all these things, and the way that we want to live very intentionally today in our fitness and our health. I don't think most of us make the connection for whatever reason. It's not natural. It seems so intuitive, but we don't make the connection that everything we do today will manifest in the future. And whether it's if you choose to not live a healthy life, whatever that means, there's going to be ramifications in the future, and also the way that you act, the way you treat people, friendship, like all these different things, they're going to manifest, and it's just going to compound. It's like investing. Like we so easily can conceive of investing. Oh, I'm just going to invest, and then compound interest. It's the
Compound
eighth
interest.
wonder of the world, right? And
Yeah.
then I'm going to make all this. I'm going to be rich and whatever. Well, the same thing is true in your life and every other aspect of your life. Compound interest in how you invest. If you suck as a dad now, you think it's going to be easier when your kids are out of the house, when you have no more like access to them every single day constantly? Like it's not going to,
They're
it's not how
not.
it works.
They're not gonna want to just like someday like, hey, Dad, haven't seen you in 20 years, but I just want to come hang out with you all the time now.
Yeah. It was awesome not seeing you. So let's not see you more, right? Like we don't think that way. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, and to Doc G's point, I mean, he referenced a lot the regrets of the dying from Bronnie Ware, which is in a similar career field, who wrote a book on the five top regrets of the dying, and all those people that were angry, were grumpy, were anxious, were depressed, didn't have any friends, didn't have any relationships. They then had regret, right? They then had regret of not having friends, working too hard, and um, not having the courage to make their own choices, to live their own life. Like all these regrets, like I can, list them off, but check it out. It's a fantastic book in itself. Um, but to your point, like compounding interest happens not just from the financial standpoint. Compounding interest happens for your health, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, right? Um, if you have friends and you put effort into that, if you're intentional with staying connected and doing fun things and seeing each other and saying hello and inviting people. If you do that now, like those people are going to be around for later on in life, down the road when you're 80, when you're 90. If you don't, if you work just head down, focused on career, work, making money, and that's it. Like when you get to 80, you're not going to be like, hey, I'm just going to make a bunch of friends now, right? And they're going to all want to come hang out. And no, like you had to start way back a long time ago and use that compounding interest chart to start growing that. Same with thing with your spouse. What happens when the kids leave? If you haven't put any effort into dating your spouse and hanging out with them and having conversations beyond just what the kids are doing, when your kids leave the house, like, are you going to have a relationship? Is it just going to spark back up? No, it's not. Why do so many people get divorced when their kids leave the house? Because they haven't focused on themselves at all. They haven't focused on each other's relationship because they've been so busy just in their jobs and tending to their kids.
Yeah, dude. And I think there's also, as you develop out these, if you desire a strong relationship with your wife, you desire a strong relationship with your kids, you desire a strong relationship with friends, and I don't want to minimize this. Relationships is again and again and again, the data shows is the primary driver for uh life well lived, relationships. 100%. Like
Yeah.
it's not even it's silly to
Longevity.
even argue the point, right? It's long it ties to longevity, ties to quality of life. I mean, people have studied this now for, I mean, there's a study that continues that's into its 80th year. Like the data is clear if you really need data. And if you, for whatever reason, like if you honestly think, man, my career, like having a really, really good career, like that's going to be the thing that I'm going to rest on, once I leave my career, like it's just silly. It's silly. But I would argue that our actions then are also silly if we are so tied into those things. But what I was going to say is the the goal that, like, looking forward to those things, those great relationships, also gives you motivation for today, right? It gives you motivation to develop those relationships. It gives it, I'm motivated. Like I think about when I'm gonna have. I mean, dude, when the kids leave the house, like I can't even fathom the amount of time that I'm gonna have on my hands, and we're gonna be in our 50s, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like time galore. And I'm not going to want to fill that, even if I did fill, like even if I did fill a portion of that time with work. Like, dude, like I just think of my schedule now, right? Every kid's in a sport. Every sport, I mean, every single night there's at least one kid in some kind of practice, and well, a third of the time I'm coaching that sport. And so I'm tied to that as well. And every single night we have a thing. And then Saturday we have games, and Sunday we have, and I'm just like, dude, as kids start leaving, like there's going to be gaps not only in the household dynamic, if you haven't done something to mitigate that and let that gap be something, a joyous occasion as they leave, but you're still going to miss your kids and all that. But there's going to be time gaps. There's going to be time to fill. What are you going to do, dude? Like sit and watch TV? A lot of people do that, man. We're going to
Yep.
sit and watch TV,
Yep.
or maybe something a little better, read books. Like, dude, I
Fox
tend to
News
be
and CNN.
right. I tend to be with my homies, like on a river fishing, mountain biking, doing like awesome things. Dude, we're gonna be in our 50s. Like that's 50s, like the new 17. 50s, 50s, not, it's just
That's
not that
it's
old,
science.
right? It's science. And so I guess my point is uh, the that I'm also excited for those things to happen, right? I'm excited for it's just different. It's a different season. But I can see where somebody is like, like there are people that just can't even envision what that would look like because they don't do it now. And to think you're going to figure it out between now and then is just silly. You're just not going to figure it out. And other people that have are just moving on, right? They're just moving on. And so back to the point is the present is so powerful. What we do today echoes in eternity, right? Like what we do today, no kidding, you're setting the foundation. Ideally, you started before, but you're setting the foundation for what that looks like. Like I honestly believe once that comes, I think I probably will snowboard 60 to 100 days a year. No joke. I was talking to another buddy about this. One of our guys in the Connect Man, Matt Heron. I was like, dude, I could easily see 60 days a year, like just on the slopes. And he's like,
Yeah.
60, you get 3 digits easy. 3 digits easy. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But like that's just part of the day, right? Like that's just part of the day, part of the year here. But I could see multiple fly fishing trips. It's not just to do those things I'm passionate about, but I could see doing that stuff with friends and because like in all honesty, dude, if your kids are in college, for the vast majority of the year, for 180 days of the year, even in that phase, they're not like they're not gonna want to hang out with you. They got busy, they're busy, and then they're gonna be getting married and having kids. But if you make investments, they're gonna want to come back and do the family vacations. You're gonna be part of the grandkids' lives. You're gonna be able to integrate all these things because it's appealing to be around you because you're so much joy. And that joy has to come from something, and you have to oftentimes it's relational. And in my mind, that first and foremost, my relationship with Jesus Christ, like that brings joy, right? And then that pours out into my relationship with my wife and my kids and my friends, and it's, I mean, dude, it is. I can't even begin to imagine not having a vision for what that looks like in the future, and that's sad to me because a lot of us live there, especially as dudes, right? Especially as dudes. And so we're also modeling, hey, if you take this off yourself, your self focus, you're modeling what this looks like for your children. And if you're doing exactly what your dad did, like wake up, right? Light bulb. Well, why are you doing that? That was modeled for you. Like that's what you thought was right. That was the way you thought you had to do things. And like some of our parents are working into their 70s because that's just what they know. And that's where they get a lot of people like I just got to go back to work to get fulfilled and all this. Dude,
Stay
I
busy.
plan to be fishing my face off. If I'm bored, I'm like getting in my truck and I'm going giddy up and on the river, right, with my boys. Like, I mean, that sounds way better than I'm gonna go get a job so that I have something to do. No, that sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, and I mean, think about from your kid's perspective. Like, do you want to have your kids want to come hang out with you later in life? Go do the fishing trip with dad, go on a family vacation with them, bring the grandkids back, live close by. Do you want to be the healthy dad that, is going hiking with them at age 70? Do you want to be the emotionally, spiritually fit dad that they come to for advice and ask financial questions, hard living spiritual questions? Do you want to be that dad? Do you want to be the dad that's like sitting on the rocking chair and they come and sit down next to you and talk to you about hard decisions they have to make for family, for career, for life? Like, what do you want? If you want all of that, like that doesn't just happen at age 80. Like
Right.
it starts now. It starts when you like as soon as you make the decision to be intentional about life because you invest now and it compound interest like grows it exponentially for later down the road. Like, and I think people don't get that, and that's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah. Well, you're laying it all the groundwork now. Period.
Yeah,
If you're gonna be accessible then, you're accessible now.
that's right.
If you're gonna be present then, you're present now. Right? Because if your kids are going to want to go fishing with you later in life because it's a memory that they have that Die with Zero book, the
Yeah,
memory dividends. The memory dividends pay greater over time. So like my kids are going to be like, "You know what? I would like to go fish with dad because in their mind and they probably romanticized it over the years because we went fishing so many times and yeah, the vast majority of the time we're getting skunked and I'm untying knots and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what they remember. That's not what the kids remember. They remember, dude, I just have this feeling. I just have this love, this joy, these memories bring me positivity because we did it, right? We did it. And a good indicator, like I need to take my son shoot. Jake has asked me to go to take him shooting again. We went shooting one time in Montana. The gun, dude, it was these a bunch of 22s. and they kept jamming and all this kind of stuff. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, it was kind of annoying, but he doesn't remember that. And he's asking me like every day to take him shooting because that's a memory that he had. That was a time that we spent together. It was very special. And so now I'm going to take, and like, I just need to listen and do it. Right. Your kids are going to give you hints. My son has been asking, my young guy, he's shifted from mommy snuggle, mommy, mommy, mommy to daddy. He's like, oh, I want dad to do this. Like he got hurt. We were at a school event and I was doing something with the football team. Like I was recruiting for football. I had a tent and they were out bouncing and stuff. And I got a phone call and this woman was like, hey, Noah fell in the bouncy castle and knocked the wind out of him. He wants his dad. Right. And I was like, oh man, he wants his dad. And he wanted me. He
Yeah.
wanted me to go get him. And it usually would have been mom, right? Like that's a mom role. Traditionally, you think that's a mom role. Dude wanted his dad. And so, but that's because I'm like with the guy. Like he's my dude, he's my guy. We cut the grass together and we do all kinds of stuff with each other. And now he wants dad. But if I wasn't doing those things, I guarantee you he'd want mom. And
Dude,
it brought
last
me joy. It
I
brought
do.
me joy. I was like,
Literally
yeah, my dude wants dad.
literally last night we were looking at my kid's yearbook from last year. And in the back of the yearbook, there's this like exercise. Like, it's really cool. Like, it basically tells the kid to think about your future and answer these questions. And like, the questions were, where are you going to live? What job are you going to do? What are your hobbies? Dude, literally every single answer. We went through those with my son last night. He wants to live in Colorado. What does he want to do for work? He wants to work for Storehouse. What are his hobbies? I want to play with my kids. Dude,
That's good.
when he
That's
said that,
good.
like I almost teared up, man. Like his hobby wants to be playing with his kids. Because what
That's
happens
good.
right now, I pick him up from school, I take him home. First thing, Dad, let's go play. I go outside
Yep.
and throw the ball or throw the football or jump on the trampoline, whatever it is. Like 4 p.m. to whenever their activities start, like it's playtime. And like they
Yep.
model, man. They want to be what we are. Like, and
Well, dude, yesterday I was playing catch with Noah, football. He's like, Dad, let's go play catch. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. After activities, it was late. I pushed bedtime back because the sun's out later, and I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, cool, let's do this. And I took a video of it too. But dude, I was hucking the ball at him. He's like, Dad, throw it harder. Like I was
yeah,
hucking it. Kind of like with baseball, right? Like
yeah,
he's a
yeah,
dude, you freaking huck the ball, and I'm like, oh, but
He's
he's
like hit in the
learning
face.
something. Like, no, who's gonna do that with
Yeah.
him? Who's gonna do that with him? And he's like, Dad, throw it so I have to dive. Dad, throw it so, and like a couple times, like hit the fingers, the jam football fingers, and he just like normally he would cry about that stuff. He was just like, no, let Dad throw it hard again. No, the harder. And it just it hit me in the moment. There's not going to be somebody else. I don't want there to be somebody else who's going to go out there every night and throw the ball harder and hard. Dude, I was throwing it hard, man. I was like, yeah, I was getting a little bit concerned about it. But I was just like, dude, like these are the things, right? I'm teaching him something in this moment about a lot of things that I value, toughness and challenge yourself and all these things. It all comes through being present and go ahead and pick up a football and just hucking it with the boy. And it doesn't have to be football. It doesn't have to be throwing it as hard as you can. It doesn't have to be these things. It can be whatever. My kid's into art. Cool, man. Like go sit down and draw with them. My kid's into Legos. Well, let's go build together. Kids into video games. Okay. I'll challenge you to whatever, like whatever, dude. Just be there for them, be there with them. And it's fun, man. Like I had fun. I didn't want to come inside. Erica's like, okay, boys, time to come inside. I'm like, but can we play a little longer, mommy?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's fun. And it's all setting the foundation for what the future looks like. I'm trying to get online right now and look for Zach Bryan, this country dude.
Dude,
Actually,
legit.
former Navy guy.
Yep.
He was a E6 in the Navy. But Maya just mentioned, she's like, Dad, I'd love to go to a concert.
Me too.
And I'm like, all right, well, what if I just surprise her with a ticket just for the two of us? And we just go jam out to Zach Bryan,
Legit.
right? So stuff like that, right? Stuff like that. Just listen and be present, go participate, listen to your friends. Like they'll tell you, if you have good friends, they'll tell you what they need. And that'll be the people that I mean, we have a bottle of wine right behind me. 2048. 2048 will be 50 years of friendship. Like that's meaningful, right? Like that has meaning. If you don't have a bottle of wine with, hey, let's crack this on our 50th anniversary as buddies, then like go find that dude, right? Go find that woman. Like this is the stuff we're talking about. These are actions. Mike gave me that to me actually. I was kidding. That's from Steve. But these are the things that we're talking about. Covenant relationships. So get after it. Take action today. You're going, this literally the decisions you make today, how you live and who you spend your time with and how you do it and how intentional you are is how you're going to die. Period. There's no better way to say it. And if you're lonely now and you're grumpy and you're bitter and all that, that's how you're going to die. And if that's not a wake up call, then, good luck with that.
Good luck. See you.
Peace.